What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Jagged Edge. Ian here along with Chris.
What's up? I'm whacking it. Out of context, that's horrible. That's why I said it.
We've, as always, some fun stuff to cover, but we got two trailers, two cool trailers, especially the first one I'm even more excited about than the second.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that real quick, let's just comment on what's out there, what we just put out there. We saw Justice League. There's a non-spoiler and a spoiler reviews out on that. Yep. That's a thing. I think that's the best way to say Justice League is that's a thing that happened. That's a thing that has come and gone, and there it is. Punisher, we have a review for that. We just finished that. We just finished recording that, and that is also
still a thing.
That's a thing. I will say this: if you love the Punisher, don't go into this with high hopes.
Right. If you like CSI, though, that's a different story. We'll talk. Yeah. We'll talk about that there. But no, some of what we're framing here. No, it's been just especially this week, the latter parts of this week, crazy.
I'm still working on a review for Battlefront 2.
Yeah, the amount of stuff we've been trying to cover. We're still kind of a little peppered coming off of Punisher. Make sure we got through that whole season. Of course, Chris is working with Star Wars Battlefront review. Pick that up to do that gameplay. Justice League, as well as everything else that's been going on and just general news. There's a whole lot here.
Yep.
So, man. But we made it. It's Sunday.
Yep.
Somehow.
Yep. So yeah, no, there was a couple cool trailers that released though. It's Deadpool 2 came out this week, unexpected.
With an afro painting glory.
That was so funny. I loved it. I saw it before I saw it in the theaters. Because most people, if you've seen Justice League, they probably played it. They probably played that teaser before Justice League, which we both saw.
Right.
They changed it a little though. Deadpool being Deadpool makes obscene references in just about everything that comes out of his mouth. And it's there was one point where. And this is why I said what I said, where he's gonna, he says he's gonna whack it, and so he's whacking his paintbrush against the tripod to clean it off a bit, and that's what you see in at least the regular version of the trailer that I saw online, and then in the theater they switched it. God only knows why. To I'm gonna clean this again, and he starts whacking the brush on. Why? Why did you do that? I mean, Justice League is a PG-13 movie. But besides that, it was hilarious. It was awesome to see it again. The trailer is awesome. Looking forward to Deadpool. He's one of the few things in the X-Men universe that I like, probably because he's so damn distant from it.
Yep. And now, just even the earlier stuff we've seen. I think the first trailer I saw was the you got the old fellow that gets shot in the alley because it's taking him so much time to eat.
That was great too.
Yeah, and then he just kicks back and just takes his ice cream and starts eating it.
Yeah.
But
you're dead.
Oh well.
You get ice cream here though. Can't let that go to waste.
Even the name here, if you're looking for this current trailer, I believe that's called the Deadpool's Wet on Wet teaser.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So why would you even put this teaser before Justice League if you were afraid? Why even do it? Why even do it? But this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. June I think this comes out.
Yeah.
So we got a little ways to go yet, probably a few months before we see a full trailer.
The second one we had here was Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock, in Rampage. Now, okay, my mind is, I know it has nothing to do with the series. I'm instantly taken back to...
what series?
The old school. You remember the arcades for this?
No, this is based off of the arcade game.
It is then!
Yeah.
See, I was thinking Primal Rage.
No, this is based off of the arcade game.
It is.
Obviously, the big difference is that those monsters were from people,
right?
Where these are not. These are mutated monsters. But yeah, no, this is based on the 1980s arcade game, which was one of my favorites ever. Some people were playing other games. I was playing Rampage. I loved it. I mean, it was one of your first co-op games like that too.
Right.
Hey, you need help trashing that building? Yeah, come on over, giant lizard.
Yeah, I was instantly taken back to San Andreas Seeing it. It just has, I mean, not the themes of the movie.
Same
just
director.
Yeah, they more reasons, all the more.
They're touting that like it's a good thing.
Yeah. That worries me. Dwayne Johnson doesn't though. I've enjoyed him in plenty of stuff. Even when he just does vocal talent. He's been always real solid. I think he'll do just fine here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a horrible movie, but it's going to be one of those horrible movies that I love.
Right.
I'm going to love every bit of this crappy movie. I mean, they're already doing it wrong. I mean, it's fine. It's not, so many people, commenting on this trailer for Rampage, like, is this based off the game?
Right.
Is this based off the game? Yeah, it's loosely based on a game that came out over 30 years ago. And then some people complain, they're not doing it right. Who cares? Look, all they needed was a setup for an excuse to get giant monsters trashing a city. All right, I'm good with this.
Enough said.
Yeah, I don't need it. I don't need it to be overly convoluted and perfect off source material. It's like this is a movie about giant animals destroying people stuff. I'm good with that.
I really wonder where we're going in film. Are we straying farther away from what I like to call the snakes on a plane days? We can just take a really goofy, simple concept and just run with that for what it is, instead of having to be tied to a huge, sprawling, epic narrative. Right. So.
Like The Punisher.
Yeah, like that.
Which was horrible.
See, plenty of CSI. The ties to Marvel are, well, you pretty much won't see them.
They're garbage. Yeah, they're garbage, or they're not there.
So pop on over to our review if you want to check that out. And of course, as always, share your thoughts on it or where you think Netflix is going.
Yeah, I definitely, for people who see The Punisher, definitely put your comments down. I really want to know what you think, because I have strong feels on it. I would like to know, especially if you're a hardcore Punisher fan, where you sit with where I'm sitting. I mean, are we sitting in the penalty box together,
right?
Or are we yelling at each other?
An interesting differentiation, because I know you love the Punisher as a character, but in the same hand, I know you were saying you haven't followed like the comics extensively, like
no.
hardcore.
I mean, the Punisher Warzone ran for a couple years. I collected that one from start to finish. I mean, it's interesting because the Punisher's not many characters have had as many runs as the Punisher, especially simultaneously.
Right.
You have the X-Men titles. Spider-Man, I think, had 4 going at one time. Punisher had 3 going at one time.
Wow.
A lot of people love the Punisher. They love that military war aspect. That's actually not what I dig about him so much. It's like I mentioned in the review. I dig the fact that he's a very one-dimensional character, but you have to be real careful how you play him, because if you do him wrong, you're gonna know.
Yeah,
fans are gonna know, and they're gonna be pissed, and that's what's happened with this show. They did him wrong. But anyways, you can hear it all there.
And as for myself, I'm following more the whole investigative CSI end of the story. I have almost zero comic investment or the rest with Punisher, besides his appearances in Spider-Man and a few of the other outfits throughout the year. So really didn't have much of a sketch of what to expect coming in. I think even then, though, looking at how things tie to Marvel as a whole, or just the larger universe in general, there's some questions there. But really, hey, I ran with the investigative story and let that play out. That's so be it.
All right, speaking of investigations,
our master of investigation, Batman,
the master detective.
This is something you've been talking about. Ben Affleck dropping those hints to get out of playing Batman. This was from a USA Today interview. He quoted, "You don't do it forever, so I want to find a graceful and a cool way to segue out of it."
Boo.
Boo hiss.
I called this, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I did so reluctantly,
because
disappointingly.
And what was... Now, if I remember right, his last statement about this was something to the effect of, "I will do this so long as Warner Brothers deems
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. No, at San Diego Comic Con.
That's right. That's right.
He was just like, as long as they want me doing Batman, I'll do Batman. Which I called bullshit then.
Yeah.
But what else is he gonna say at freaking Comic Con? No, these guys suck.
You all suck.
At the Justice League panel. No, this is it.
That would if he did say that, I would hope someone would play the sad Ben Affleck. Gosh, I love that.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, it's the poor guy. Matt Reeves, director of the upcoming trilogy, which was going to be Ben Affleck's project, it is wanting to do a story arc of a younger Batman. Anyways, Warner Brothers has had meetings with some people about possibly playing a role, but they made no decision on it. Yep. This sucks.
Yeah,
this sucks. I'm gonna get ornery all over again.
Here we go. I don't. As far as a older Batman, before we go into this, you know what? I need to send you a Skull shirt. It sounds like you need to do some punishing of your own. But...
Well, look, all right. Let me see this. Let me see this. I don't give a shit what Matt Reeves wants to do. And he's a good director, and I like a lot of his stuff. I don't care. You know what? When they rebooted Spider-Man this last time, you know what everyone said they didn't want? An origin story.
Right.
Do I need another fucking Batman origin story?
No, we get it at this point.
I mean, it feels very similar to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't need that again.
With the whole flips and the reboots and everything. Look, if you're talking about a younger Batman, honestly, you don't really need that. I think if you want to go that route, I'll be straight up. I'd rather hear about Nightwing at that point than reversing Bruce Wayne backward, or starting up again, or having this weird version of like Ultimate Batman or something like that. No, but
yeah, I don't want to see it. I don't, and it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right. Because if Matt Reeves does a Batman trilogy, not connected to the DCEU, which is the other franchise that they're doing with the DC movies, if they end up making a movie with a young Batman outside of that, well, then you're just retelling the Batman trilogy we just saw. Right. Am I wrong?
Pretty much. I mean, unless you start cutting into the grounds of oh golly. Someone, you have to help me out here. During Nightfall, when Bane broke Batman's back, who was the Batman that took over for him during that time?
Oh, I forget.
Yeah, if you start going in that direction or something, like, I mean, you need some setup before it, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, so they can't do that because it's almost like Warner Brothers wants to see how far can we push the DC names and the Batman and stuff like that before this stuff isn't profitable anymore.
Right.
It really seems like they're trying to do that. Now you've got it. You've got Ben Affleck as Batman. The vast majority of people like how he's playing both roles, Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You had it. This guy was willing to direct and write and act in a movie. Just one. Warner Brothers. You part of why Marvel looks so damn good is because you're doing everything so goddamn badly.
It's funny. I saw a column for some of the Justice League's reviews. Someone was saying that. I think this is a little much, and I'm sorry I don't have the article to quote, but that Marvel should be shaking in their boots for Justice League, and I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I disagree with that. Like,
shaking in their boots. They're too busy counting their money from Thor to be shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
The weakest and worst part of the MCU, just the movies aspect, the Thor series. And they turned that around. And I'm not even a huge fan of that movie, but I can understand why everybody loves it.
Right.
And I mean, here you have the entire Justice League. I'm not going to get into all this. I mean, there were aspects of Justice League I liked. It was not Batman v Superman. I'm not going to rail against it because it's almost pointless now because I know that the DCEU is not going to be what it was supposed to be.
No. Who
knows what's going to happen now? They have no idea, and it's but But if they're, look, if you're going to do a Matt Reeves Batman trilogy, you better space that sucker 5 years from after you kill the DCEU, because nobody wants to see it right now.
No.
Nobody wants to see a new Batman Begins to whatever you're going to arc it into. Nobody wants, everybody really likes, in particular, everybody really likes the Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
The Superman. And the Batman in this DCEU. They're not getting so mad because you're turning out crap. They're getting so mad because you're doing some things really right, and you're putting them in really bad scenarios.
I mean, it hasn't, at this point, hasn't Ben Affleck at least, earned enough cred to just let him do one. Get the guy.
But at this point, though, if I was him, I don't know if I'd trust him.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, I think he's more than earned the creative license to do so, but when it comes to wanting to express a creative vision, it's one thing wanting to do it; it's another having the right grounds to do that, or feeling you have the freedom to do that.
Right.
And if you don't, if that's going to be choked, if that's going to be stifled, well, obviously you're going to part ways at some points. But no, I agree. One thing I really dig about Ben Affleck's portrayal is you have this this grizzled Batman he's been doing this a long time. He's been fighting crime in Gotham a long time. He knows what the game's about. He's got the detective element. He's not just plowing through things blindly. Although again, Batman versus Superman, killing spree, Batman's a different story. But no, he's methodical. He is still very direct with his work, to the point where he makes an interesting, compelling Batman. It's great. It's not too slapstick. It's not too tongue in cheek, and it's not too light. I think he hits the highs, he hits the lows underneath. So
and I thought it was a brave move on their part to when they're first introducing Batman into this DCEU a few years back, that they went with an older Batman. That this is a veteran. This is seen it, done it Batman. I thought that was a braver move. I thought that was a good way to go. Whatever. Because next thing you know, next week we're going to be talking about how they've now announced 5 new Justice League movies.
Look. Here it is. At the end of the day, what's happening? Is the DCU a thing or not?
Right.
It's in the air at this point. We talked about that in the Justice League review, how it's really a big question mark. We have a statement from DC saying that, okay, we're panning away from that. You'll be seeing more solo stories, but the content says otherwise. So, who knows?
Yeah, but it is. It's hard to comment on it. This is, it's like they're a crazy person off their meds. You can't, you don't know what they're going to do next. And yeah.
So hopefully the knee-jerk reactions kind of stop, kind of really gauge, watch things, make a creative vision and stick to it. It goes back to the same formula that I enjoy really well-made video games. It's the games and stories that are able to pull a player, a watcher, a listener, a reader in, have confidence in its story, and tell us that, and stand on that without responding to every breeze in the wind. You're never going to be able to please everybody. At least just show your vision and go with it. So
right.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I guess out of all of this, I guess I'm hoping to at least see Man of Steel 2,
right,
and a Batman movie, at least one where Ben Affleck's going to play Batman, and he's going to do an awesome job of it. A movie focused on him. I don't think we'll get the latter. I think we'll get the first one, though. I think we'll get Man of Steel 2. But because I know we're going to get Wonder Man. I think Aquaman's mostly done at this point. It's in post-production. I think they're done shooting it. I still think they're trying to line a director up for The Flash, which would be director number 20. Whatever.
Oh, man.
Oh boy.
Well,
but it will be interesting to see if this does crumble and all they have left are all these single movies. It'll be interesting to see how they do once this whole DCEU thing does crumble.
Right.
If it does, which it mostly has, it'd be interesting to see how well these movies do without people thinking that they'll continue to see more of them, and see them grow and build by themselves and together and intertwine with one another.
Right.
Because that's a huge selling point towards the Marvel movies. Is that what you're seeing is not is not in a vacuum.
Right. Right. It's there's a direct correlation. You have a web of connectivity, and the fun part is piecing all this stuff together or trying to see where it's going to go. Sometimes you're on the money with it. Sometimes you're not. And I, for one, I love when I'm not. I try to come into a lot of the Marvel movies with, just usually the general sense of understanding I have about said characters or whatever's happening in the timeline. I don't go crazy reading too much into it. I might after or see how some of those things connect, but I'm sort of in a surprise me stance.
Yeah.
And I like it. So, cool. Well, if we're talking about movies, we got to talk about James Franco, X-Men.
We've been talking about Marvel and DC, and might as well talk about some X-Men too.
This was a clip from Hollywood Reporter. It's saying that James Franco is in negotiations to play the mutant Multiple Man in a spin-off movie created by Simon Kinberg.
Who's creating the Dark Phoenix movie, the current the next X-Men movie, X-Men proper, I should say. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Well,
that threw me off. I saw that actually today while I was finishing up notes. I'm like, what?
Same. I mean, it's kind of like like Tim Allen style thing. I mean, we've got a couple of projects on the burner here. Of course, the X-Men Dark Phoenix from Fox. There's Deadpool 2, and then
New Mutants.
The New Mutants as well. Hey, James Franco's awesome. Multiple.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy him.
Yeah.
When he's in a tongue-in-cheek role, he's really good.
Multiple Man.
When he's in some serious roles, but I really enjoy him as a comedic actor. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, you do. Multiple Man, though, I don't know if he is this character we're dealing with Legion along those veins. Or I'll be honest, I know nothing about Multiple Man.
You don't remember Multiple Man?
I really don't.
He was in X-Men 3.
Let's see.
Yeah, the really, really, really bad one.
I didn't blank that. From my
he makes multiple copies of himself. I've read him in some in some X-Force comics. Although I don't think he was a part of the proper team, but he was in there on some X-Force comics that I got my hands on. Yeah, basically he like punches himself and he makes a copy, and he can control those copies.
Sweet.
They're like clones. They're not projected images, but he controls them. And if they get hurt, I don't think he gets hurt. I guess there was like something in a comic recently, or at some point I was looking into this where like when he was born, the doctor slapped him on the back and it made a copy of him. So he had his abilities right away. He's a fairly interesting character. I could see this as a comedic spin-off, especially with James Franco. I don't see where they would go other ways with it. Most people don't know who this character is. Kind of ironic. Again, they've already introduced this character into the Marvel in the X-Men universe, but here we go again.
Yep. Back to the square we keep
because
hammering. Right.
I've given up on the X-Men universe. That's why I think that I enjoy the Deadpool stuff, and they're going to do an X-23 spinoff where they're all dead, so continuity doesn't really matter. But they'll find a way to fuck that up too. So
here, as we have so many continuity issues at this point. Obviously, the problem is less with a lesser known character in a standalone story, more than the way all of this is sort of spun back into a larger game, if that's what's being tried. I think back to Ant-Man when that came out. I mean, I knew of him. Of course, I'd seen him in like some couple of Marvel featurettes, but really delving into the character, I had like no investment, but I really enjoyed Ant-Man.
Yeah, no, Ant-Man's great.
I think Marvel was able to really leverage that and make a fun, really fun movie, fun, cool character too.
As far as the character, Multiple Man, I couldn't even tell you his name. I do know that as far as his personality goes, he's not a very, he's not a hero as you think of your typical superhero, as you think of the X-Men. He's not, he's got a bit of an edge to him to some degree. I do remember that. Who knows if they'll use that. I mean, and again, as we're commenting, who knows where this even places in the X-Men universe, if it places in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
I guess the concept's interesting. Again, if they were trying to make a comedic movie, this could be fun.
Could be. But with where X-Men stands, I'm tuning my dial way down for this. I've got my eyes way more on the X-23 than off in this. We'll see where it goes over time.
Well, and Legion should be coming out here in the next few months too, season 2.
Yeah, I'll be definitely down for tuning into that.
Yeah.
I really want to see what that's going to be building into.
But yeah. So why not James Franco in the X-Men universe? Sure.
Roll the bones. Go for it.
Roll the bone. Never heard. I mean, I know what that is, but I was not expecting to hear it here. Roll the bones.
Why not?
Sure. Throw in some voodoo magic.
Just please don't make a doll. Gaming.
Yeah.
My man. No.
Yeah, I know. I started one thing and then ended up as Aquaman.
Yeah. I'm going to call you on that every time, like from here on out. It's just that's established.
My man.
We've got some more big moves from Disney. This is really, I was looking through this article and kind of piggybacked off our discussion last
Whoa,
week.
See, I didn't even look at what you'd added here. Holy crap.
Yeah. So, I never played this MMO. But this is something I've seen spoken about on a lot of boards.
Oh, this is Marvel Heroes.
Yeah, so...
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I heard about this.
Yeah, Disney made an abrupt cancellation of the Marvel Superheroes MMO. There's been obviously a fan backlash to this, not just because of how sudden the announcement was, but for players who have actually invested into this, invested cash, really demanding refunds because of the lack of
refunds.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just it's one of those things. Look, when you do like RMT transactions or you do like microtrans,
now, if I remember correctly, two things on this.
Yeah,
this is a falling out between Disney and the company who
Gazillion Entertainment.
Producing this show.
Right.
This isn't Disney wanting to pull out as much as there's been a falling out between those companies. Secondly, they have not announced when this ends yet. Is that correct?
We do have a date now.
They do. Okay, I only heard that they were going to cancel.
It's been canceled. Everything right now, service-wise, is going to continue free up until December 31st of this year.
Oh, so that is pretty soon.
Yep. After that, cut. Done.
You can't get refunds.
No, no, you can't. Leave that alone.
I mean, if they're, is this a monthly subscription they pay for this one?
So, because this, I'm trying to see how long ago this became free, because it's free to play as of now.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was gonna say if they paid like 6 months up front, then obviously yes. For those months going past this year, give them refunds. But
right. I think it's weird though. The refund demands, most of the ones that have been on the table for this one are following in-game purchases, not as much subscription fees. Basically, people, people are upset about that and say, well, we should be, recompensated for it. But in fact, there's an example from a BuzzFeed article that pulled. There was an Xbox player that had claimed that he spent over $400 on microtransactions trying to unlock certain characters.
I'm sorry, but if you're spending $400, that is not a microtransaction.
No, it's a mega transaction.
You could have bought another console and game.
Oh yeah. And I guess sort of part of the reasoning for why there's even the base for microtransactions like this is some characters were available only by paying just through game time. Just by playing, you can unlock. Others required actual cash. There was no way to get said characters unless you invested cash into them. So, like for example, if you wanted to unlock everything in the roster, people had to spend about $5 individually, or for individual characters, like or $20 packs at a time to get 4 characters at once. And bear in mind that doesn't include additional skins or little extras and things like that you might want to throw on. So Do your math and it adds
You
up.
know, you know what pisses me off about some of these transactions? You're seeing this a lot now, and you're seeing this actually with Battlefront 2, which
Hmm.
again I'm doing a review on, and I do touch on this whole topic, this microtransaction topic. Look, I'm going to go back to a couple of years ago when I was playing MKX. You
Woo!
know, they would come out with DLC, and you'd have to pay for most of it. Some of it you didn't have to pay for, but when you did pay for it, you knew what you were getting,
Right.
and you had various options. You could pay for the whole pack, and you get all these characters and all these skins, or you could pay for just one character, or maybe just the skins. But what's really pissing me off about microtransactions now is this random crap.
Yeah.
This is getting to be too much, and especially in games like free to play is free to play. And I
Right.
almost feel like that's fair game because you know as long as there's also a way for you to get these same things without having to pay,
Right.
I think that's fine as well. But obviously, if you want to get something quicker, or if you want more chances to get something, you pay a little bit more for that. But when you've thrown down, like a lot of people are pissed that they're throwing down 60, $80 for Battlefront 2.
Right.
And even if they got the Elite Trooper edition, they get so little from that.
Right.
Like the biggest characters, like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, are still locked.
Hmm.
We're gonna end up having a greater conversation about this, but they need to be careful with this because sooner or later, somebody's going to go too far,
Yeah.
and we're gonna end up with a system that nobody likes as
No.
far as how developers use it, or as far as what we would like to see developers do, but they won't because some company got sued.
And from a business side of it, I mean, of course, I get it. You have a lot of groups wanting to get their cut of the pie, looking at how popular this is on a lot of mobile games, mobile markets, and, if you're able to nickel and dime, $5
Right.
across X amount of players, okay, well, that's going to generate a lot more revenue than just straight out picking up the game over time. But even with that, I think you have to look at how and what kind of content you're giving. Some of the
Right.
most annoying microtransactions are the ones, for me, always, no matter what game, that affect gameplay directly. E.g., you can't have these characters without paying. You can't advance to this point in the story without paying a fee. The one time I was really okay with the paywall directly impacting the gameplay experience was when I was playing Ashura's Wrath on back in PS3. If you could finish it, you could finish the game, cool, you had an ending and all that, it's fine. If you wanted to see the extended story, though, there was a DLC pack that you could pay for that tied in with the main line. Wasn't needed by any means, but it was worth it, and it was awesome to do, and I'm glad I did it. I loved it. But in most cases, no. I think, again, games like FF14 do it right. It's simply cosmetic. You want to do it, it's there. But
Yeah, and what's bothering a lot of people about Battlefront 2 is, again, the methodology that they're using for microtransactions is the same as you find in most free-to-play games.
right,
And that's pissing off a lot of people because this is not a free-to-play game. This was
No.
at least a $60 game.
Yeah.
And that's what's ticking off a lot of people about this. And quite frankly, I don't blame them.
right,
EA is really they're being pretty big dicks about this whole thing. So before the game even came out, there were a handful of people that were playing it, reviewers and such, and there was in order to get just one character, like let's say Luke Skywalker,
Mhm.
you had to put in an average of 40 hours of solid multiplayer gameplay just to earn enough credits to unlock him. Just him. Just him. So what they did was this came out before the game was released, and this reviewer is saying, well, I've done the math on this, and this is how much time it's going to take just to unlock one character. So what EA did is like, well, we didn't intend it to be quite that bad. Bullshit. You didn't. What they really meant to say was, we didn't intend for someone to call us out on that. That's what really happened. So they took it from 60,000 credits that were needed to 15,000. They dropped it by 3/4, but then they reduced a lot of the credits that you get through other areas of the game.
right.
I think for me, what pisses me off about this personally is that EA is acting like people haven't seen this shit before.
Right.
And they're not, like people haven't caught on to this. It's like they're not trying to fix it. They're trying to take a different angle at it. And every time they move a piece, it's like, dude, we know what you're doing.
Right.
It's hilarious. Okay. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, this is something the PC players have dealt with that for various games for a while. I mean, now we're seeing this in consoles. We've seen this sort of spread everywhere. Looking at Marvel, though, as far as people trying to get refunds from Gazillion, honestly, there's clauses for this stuff built in all the time about
Yep.
IAP, and the game itself can just be zapped at any time. There's no refunds or anything like that owed. So this really isn't something that players, I think, can expect back pay for or anything
Right.
like that. It's just that's it.
The conversation that came up about, I'd say maybe about a decade or so ago, similar to this, is in World of Warcraft, when people, after a few years, people were, they'd played the game, they were looking to get out, they had huge characters, they were part of the 1%, they were selling their accounts. And Blizzard put a stop to it. They're like, no, you don't own that. You don't actually own any of what you did. We own that.
Right.
And we're not letting you sell this. Kind of a similar situation, which obviously people still sell their accounts in WoW and other places. They just do it, on the down low. But yeah, you spent that. It's done. No one promised you any certain amount of time or anything back from it. You paid whatever money for item or skin. You got it, and even if you only used it for a day, that's it.
Right. Done deal.
Yeah.
So
that's what you get for spending real money on a fake sword.
It ain't gonna last.
No, you can't take it with you.
Going into that though, with talking about in-app purchases, Battlefront, and everything else, I think that's an important spot to talk about loot boxes stuff a lot.
Loot boxes suck.
There's been now EA's flip-flopped about this a lot. As you were saying, there was the Skywalker issue earlier, and then there was a pricing tier. There was a huge backlash against that, and then that was changed pretty soon after launch. And this is just sort of, I guess, a peek into what you're already working on. But how much have you noticed this impacting Battlefront 2 with the whole loot box issue? Do you still feel that loot boxes are necessary right now to advance, or how does the game feel?
Well, no, I don't think they should be using them like this to begin with.
Right.
My time in multiplayer, there was definitely a feel of the have and the have-nots. That was disappointing. And you're gonna get that. Even if they didn't have the loot box system and someone could just pay $10 to just unlock Luke Skywalker instead of having to buy all these freaking loot boxes and try to get the amount of credits to do it. You're still going to have that,
right?
Because while there are different degrees that people are willing to pay in the games, you generally have two categories: those who do and those who won't. So in the category of people who won't pay do microtransactions in the game is definitely the bigger,
right?
Of the two. And there are those who will spend whatever obscene amount of time and money on games just so that when they first come out, they can be Darth Maul when no one else is Darth Maul. It's there. It's always going to be there. I have always liked, we've talked about this off and on. I have always liked the idea of these microtransactions as a way for someone who is married with 5 kids and working 2 jobs, who if he really wants to do that, he can pay to get it.
You can fill in the slot where you normally have to spend all that time.
Right. And that's, and maybe that's what it was intended to be at one point. That's not what it is anymore. We are. I feel like we're nowhere near the finale of what's going to happen with microtransactions in games. I do feel as though EA has stepped over the line, treating this $60 to $80 game, even more if you actually bought the console bundle, to get a console specific for it and all that.
Right.
You're going with a free to play system for this game that everyone's paying to play. You're going
Right.
too far. You're not using the right system here. They're getting a lot of backlash. They deserve every bit of it. It's because look, yes, it's your game. You can do it however you want, but then you deserve all the shit in the world you get for your decisions.
Right. And EA is not foreign to cashing in off of stuff
Right.
like this. It was there. A lot of this has been questionable. I know there was some concerns about Star Wars being in EA's hands for this. It'll be interesting to see what happens now in the wake of something as anticipated as Battlefront. Who else would pick up that license? Is this something that we even continue on with having EA hold?
Well, EA fights, and they fight hard for their licenses.
They do.
I'm sure you remember. I mean, back in the day, every season there would not be just Madden that came out. There would be two football games that came out. I forget the name of the other company, but they would come out with They would also come out with an NFL licensed football game who would have all the roster from the actual real people. And you had Madden, which was EA's version, and then you had the other one. And then one day it just came out. The NFL has made a deal with EA, and this is how it's going to be from now on. Is that EA is the only people that are going to make the official licensed NFL games, and then the same thing I think happened with Major League Baseball and soccer and all these. And I think EA's got them all.
Right. Right.
Basketball too, I believe, all of them. Disc golf. No disc golf.
Disc golf.
But it's EA grabs these things up. I mean, there's a reason why I treat them like the mega giant that they are, because Madden, who owns Madden owns all the money.
Truth.
And I talk about it a bit in my review. Overall, Battlefront 2 is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
This game lives and dies off the fact that it's a Star Wars game, which to some degree it should, but the EA as a developer does not live up to the standard of the franchise, and it's kind of funny in that regard. I talk obviously a bit in detail about the gameplay on that aspect, but overall it's like EA feels like you ever seen those old cartoons where you got the big dog?
Yeah.
And he's just a big dog, and he's just doing this thing what a big dog does. And then you got the little dog, and the little dog's running around him, saying, "Hey, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And it's like, "Hey, I'm badass because I'm hanging around the big dog."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what this relationship felt like. And EA's the little dog, and Star Wars is the big dog. And it's like the little dog survives only because it's around the big dog in this situation. The fact that it's just obvious. The fact that it's a Star Wars game is why this thing even exists.
Yeah.
And not because of the great gameplay that EA brings to the table.
Brand power.
Yeah.
Enough said. I mean, I don't think there's any getting around that. So cool. I'll be looking forward to the review when you got it.
That being said, let me finalize by saying, because it is EA, because they are the giants that they are, I expect them to stand on equal ground with that franchise.
Right. If they, there's different leverage, I think, you have from the perspective of being a publisher, as opposed to really sort of driving the direction, or actually owning an IP and really starting to control where stories go. I can't help but think of smaller outfits we've seen with this. I of course famously From Software and AC, or sometimes how little an effect a publisher can have. I mean, you had a group like H-Tech that just sort of published and localized. I mean, when you're talking about a larger effect on the dev themselves or anything like that, no, it's that relationship's limited. There's only so much you can do. But EA is just one of those outfits that just has tendrils in everything.
Right. I guess for me, from my perspective, and one of the reasons why I think people enjoy Star Wars. Now, I've not played a lot of Star Wars games, I had played. I can say that I was there at the beginning, and I did play some of the very first Star Wars games. As far as my time being a Star Wars fan, which I had no choice in as a child of the '80s, as a male of the '80s, I had no choice. It was just going to happen. But I've always appreciated the fact that, good or bad, I've always had the impression that if it was Star Wars, there was a genuine attempt to make it the best of whatever it was going to be.
Right.
Be it a game or a show or whatever. It wasn't, Lucasfilm wasn't just cashing in.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean?
No, I mean it's not just a quick bank in NBA 2K10. No.
Yeah, good or bad. Right. And I don't think that's the case here, although I think EA took it as the opportunity to do so.
Right.
And that's a shame. And I hope that Lucasfilm takes a look at that and how fans are reacting, and have a stern talking to with EA about what's happening, if not an outright termination of agreement.
Yeah. Well, Mickey Mouse has got the keys.
Yeah, and they have keys to just about everything. So
good stuff.
But yeah, at the same time, if this kind of stuff continues, then we are looking at a relationship where Disney is equally saying, "Yeah, I just care about the money."
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how they react. Definitely there was a reaction to the fact that the original Battlefront, and by original I mean of this new series, didn't have a single player campaign. A lot of people like myself didn't get it because of that, and because of that, they did change that. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, EA, knock it off. I talk too much.
Enough said. Good stuff.
I need to knock it off too.
or go punish something.
Arr, give me a gun.
All right.
And I'll go play football.
I'd hope you do more than that.
No, why would I?
Well, okay. I'd hope you do more than that if you are MCU Punisher.
Yeah. That's true. But I won't. You're going to have to watch it to find out what's he talking about.
Dig into it. The other thing I'm going to dig into, it's time for an Info Minute. Info Minute. Couple of questions, Chris.
Is it Thanksgiving Info Minute themed?
No, it has. No. It does have to do with food, though.
Okay.
Okay, so I got to frame this. How do you go about evaluating the quality of your beef? Like,
my beef?
Yeah, like if you're gonna get like a steak or something. Well, what are some of the things you look for?
How delicious it was after I ate it.
Like, okay. What about like Angus? Anything like that up front? Any of that?
No, I try to stay away from the pink stuff, but
that makes sense.
The pink slime.
Well,
but, generally, I won't know until it's been digested. So.
Okay. Well, have you ever considered using your underpants as a litmus test?
Oh my God! I feel like there's what's the name of that one place? Oh my gosh, horrible. That's a joke about some fast food restaurant too.
It is.
Okay, all right. So that's where this is leading. All right, let's go.
No, okay, no. Here's how I'm going with this. This piece is actually out of Scotland. This was from the Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board, aka the AHDB acronym, and the Quality Meat Scotland, QMS. It turns out there's been a new study about farmers are urged to bury their underpants to improve the quality of their beef. Burying a pants of underpants.
You have to, when you say that, you then have to tell me why.
Yep. Burying a pair of underpants in a field, well, seems weird. Or probably not obvious for, making a roast or anything, but farmers are being urged to do it, and here's why. According to experts, sterile and lifeless soil will keep underwear intact, but organically thriving soil will eat away at briefs, leaving nothing but the elastic waistband behind. Dig up the pants after just 2 months, and it's possible to judge how healthy your land is. Turns out soil conditions on beef and sheep farms directly influence how well grass and forage crops grow. Consequently, quality of the feed that's produced as well. Of course, better feed gives you healthier and, well, tastier animals.
Sure.
So there is one family or one farmer that's been doing this, a Scottish farmer. of the Korsky farm near Elgin in Moray has been burying his pants in various fields since September and basically going back and checking the quality. Yeah, after some time to see what's the whole decomposition. This, I look for odd stuff, but I don't expect this. Like,
is he the only person who does this?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, because he's only been doing it for like a couple months now, too. You see, he's been doing this since September. That was 2 months ago. So he's done it once.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one example, but it'd be one thing, I guess, if this was purely out of, I guess, out of like a phenomenon we're looking at here or something. But this is one of the last things I expected to come out of Scotland. Or the way I think to evaluate beef. Or how good it, yeah. I'll stick with my weird Angus rating. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll just go to McDonald's. You know where I will not buy meat products though? I will not buy meat products from Walmart.
I can't blame you.
Yeah,
I understand that one.
Yeah, I've seen some bad stuff.
Yeah, I know. At one point, Kroger was one people were sort of against. That's changed in recent years, but that they were up there in that list too.
Yeah, my brother, he invests yearly in a pig.
Really?
Yep, him and some of his buddies, they invest in a pig, and then they each get a dead pig, and then they each get a portion of it.
Huh.
It's really good too.
I'd get sick because this little known fact. Okay, here's a weird thing. I can do bacon. Couple strips of bacon, couple cuts of that. If it comes to ham, anything? No, can't do it.
Oh, the bacon was really good. I mean, he made the bacon. I was over there. He made it on the barbecue.
Nom 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 nom.
Yes, barbecued bacon, right next to my cheeseburger. It was great.
Oh man,
because they were putting the bacon on their cheeseburger. I'm like, no, man, you can separate that stuff. You can enjoy them more apart.
They didn't put their underwear in the ground. Like months before doing that, did they? Okay.
No, it was underwear free.
All right, good, as it should be.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a better way to do that besides using your underwear. Maybe just finding that fabric and putting that in the ground. Why it's got to be a man's pair of underwear? I don't understand. But
oh man,
there you go.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So that's a great way to end it. Because what are we gonna do a show next week?
What do we have? We got Thanksgiving holiday, of course.
Yeah.
It's gonna
be my birthday on Thursday.
Hey, happy early.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be older, and that's all I'm gonna say because I'm old enough.
Cool.
I age myself constantly when I talk about all the fun things I enjoyed in the '80s. So they know I'm in my 30s at least.
That's That's toss up. I will be in town. I will say this: I'm not going out of town. I do have family that'll be visiting. In fact, a couple have already got here today.
Oh my god, that's way too early to be dealing with family for the holidays.
No way, man! Not around here. Not around here.
Oh my god! To see Ian's aunt is like, every day, just like, let's go do this and that.
Pretty much.
I have to work and I have to bury my underwear out in the back, otherwise I won't know how the crops are going to do this year.
Exactly.
I've got half a dozen pair I got to put in the ground. Let's go to this store. This looks like fun. Oh, antiques. Do you hear? How many times do you hear that during Thanksgiving? Antiques.
That's from my mom. More. She's the antique freak.
Antiques. Oh my gosh. You shine that up.
Oh man.
All right. Yeah, we're just kind of going off now.
No, we'll have to see. But hey, no, as always, thank you for tuning in. Wishing an early happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Again, be sure to tune back in. We'll have plenty of reviews coming up. That includes Star Wars Battlefront, our recent movie reviews, and show reviews. But until then, we loved having you here. We'll talk to you next time. Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, or anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.